This is a podcast or something like that.
Welcome to episode 75. Can I get a check on that? Let me see. Hold on. We got a very different setup today. You're probably noticing already. And you're probably writing a letter of complaint. Let me Google what episode of Verbal Journal podcast. Checking the Patreon, which you can subscribe to. Episode 75. Why do I doubt myself? Why do I doubt myself? You know what I mean? Let me explain what's going on with the cameras and the shirt before we lose a lot of viewers. It's a public episode too. So the more viewers you can gain, the more viewers you can lose. What's going on with the cameras? Why are there two cameras? Well, I couldn't get my Logitech camera working. So I have my regular laptop camera, and then I have my overcompensating Samsung S21 phone camera. And I don't... Why am I recording with both? Because there's a good chance my phone will not work. It just has... It restarts itself whenever it wants to. Which camera do I look at? Whenever my phone wants, it restarts itself. So I can't really trust it to film something. It's not a big reason I haven't made a video in the last year plus, but it is partly part of the reason. Even though I'm not on camera most of the time, but it's a small, very small, 1%. So this episode is not sponsored by Logitech. This episode is anti-sponsored by Logitech. The reason I have a nice shirt on, well, two reasons. First, I always dress up very nicely for these podcasts. As you know, if you watched the previous 2 episodes ago, was also a video episode just for the channel supporters on Patreon, and YouTube members become one if you have disposable income, where people could see that I was wearing, it wasn't a suit, but we could call it a suit. I had a nice button down. I had pants. You didn't see, but oh my Lord, were my pants nice, as they are today. But I was told if I wear a nice shirt, it will compensate for the weird camera situation. And I said, I'm not wearing a tie. And they said, fine, but you need to button up your shirt all the way as if you were wearing a tie. I was like, really doesn't seem reasonable or fair. How will I lay out the two cameras? Should I think out loud about this? How will I do it? Will I end up using both? No, I'll probably just end up using the good one if it works. Right, but if I do end up using both, why would I do that though? Or I'll just end up using the bad one if the good one breaks. I'll need to have both cameras visible until this moment, actually, just so at least people understand what I'm talking about. So right now, if there are two cameras, they will now merge into one. Whichever one wins. If the good camera won and sustained itself, great. If the bad camera won, great. Okay, ready? It's the tortoise and the hare. Ready? Hello. I still have to keep looking at both. Hello, and welcome to the Verbal Journal episode podcast. Verbal Journal podcast episode. Can we take that again? Hello, and welcome to the Verbal Journal podcast, episode 75. I'm gonna have to undo this, y'all. I really will. It'll be fine, because I won't explain it this time. Okay. It doesn't look trashy. No, it looks good. This is a very nice shirt. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the podcast. We have a good episode. We, as in me and you, the audience, we have a great episode this time. It's a public episode because every fourth episode is public. It's a video episode because every second episode is video. Am I doing that now? It's like every second or third. It's sort of we're gonna see. This is only the third video episode, but this podcast's been running now for a year and a half. It's more than a year and a half now, and it's really going. It's still going on. So I have some stuff to talk about. We sort of just have running stuff here on the Verbal Journal podcast where there's stuff that just goes on, and there are narratives and arcs, and they're like abstract sometimes, like general. But they're also very specific. So let's see what we got for today. I can't find the window I'm looking for because it's hidden in the taskbar by the camera, my phone camera. So if I hit, that button, nope. How should I get the windows? I have to move this camera for a second. Hold on. Okay. I should have had the window up because now it's okay, there we go. Because, they write a script for me where I have to, be reading from the script. And so I didn't have it pulled up. Let me just try to make this right. There was, a little horizon line. If you could see, that's, a horizon line. But I was thinking, I don't know if I should have it. But it's kind of nice with the horizon line. But just the horizon line, so you can't really tell it's a computer. Wow. Phone is hot. Computer's hot. Everybody's hot. No, the horizon line, here's how. Yeah, it's like that. That's kind of nice. It's interesting, right? Like a super low horizon line. If I end up going with the laptop camera, this is going to be a real problem. This segment right here, where I'm talking about a horizon line that doesn't exist. We'll see. It's annoying. This is part of the reason I don't make videos. There's always tech stuff. My Logitech camera just doesn't work today. And since Thursday, it just doesn't work. Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason, but gosh. I got my own reasons. I got my own problems. I don't need a computer to just have problems. You know what I mean? What the hell is that? So we're good. We're vibing. I got my script. No, I'm good. They were going to print it out for me here. They were like, do you want us to print it out? I thought they were making fun of me. I was like, what? And then they were like, do you want us to print it out? And I was like, oh, no, I'm good. Yeah, I just had to move the camera, pull up the window. Make mic not on camera, it pulls focus. Yeah, sorry about that. I think on the previous episode, it shouldn't be pulling focus here. Certainly not if we're using the bad camera. Even the good camera, right? My face is dynamic enough. The camera's like, whoa, that's a face. Yo. Drinking seltzer. Again, they're trying to get me off coffee. The higher ups here, they're like, you gotta get off coffee. It says, do SpongeBob SquarePants theme, but with verbal journal instead of SpongeBob SquarePants in the chorus. Why is that in the script? How am I supposed to integrate that into the script? See, sometimes the script is not word for word, and sometimes it's just general suggestions. That's a newer sort of change. In the past, the script has always been word for word. I get told what to say. I don't have to, because I do a lot of other things while I'm running the podcast, as I've mentioned. So I don't want to have to necessarily come up with anything verbally. It's called the Verbal Journal, but I don't, it's been a year and a half. I don't want to talk anymore. So I will talk, but I don't want to come up with what I have to say. So sometimes, but since we've had this new producer the last few months, if you longtime listeners know, I'm obviously talking about Donna. Things have changed. That's one of the things that have changed. I get these suggestions. Do SpongeBob. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Verbal journal. Wait, sponge. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Verbal journal. Wait, how is it? SpongeBob SquarePants, right? Oh no, I'm getting one of the notes wrong. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob. Does it keep going down? SpongeBob SquarePants. That doesn't seem right. It seems like SpongeBob SquarePants. No, it's like SpongeBob SquarePants. It keeps going down, right? See, I don't even know. You all expect me to just know the SpongeBob SquarePants theme off the top of my head. That's sort of millennial stereotyping, frankly. And it's actually kind of offensive. So, you canceled, Donna. Okay. Oh, yeah, this was a big thing. We were getting a lot of messages about this. Jeez. So, I was telling a story last week about messing up the coffee, and I accidentally set it up wrong, so it wasn't draining, and the pot got, like pretty burned. Not like it wasn't destructive, but there was like a smell of like a burning empty pot. The coffee wasn't draining. It was like I didn't cause a fire, but it was like a slightly messy situation because then it started draining a little too much. I had to clean up some coffee. I'm not going to rehash all the details there. You can listen. You can become a channel supporter to listen to that story. But the problem was in explaining that story, I mentioned that another coffee event occurred. Okay, I know this. Sometimes I apologize for things that people didn't notice. Okay, I will acknowledge that. This time, I'm quite sure people noticed. So I'm sorry that when I was telling a story about coffee and I mentioned another story about coffee, I'm sorry that I then didn't tell that other story. It was probably very frustrating. I remember I was telling a story and then I was in the first story, just in this initial coffee story, I was already closing a loop on no, never mind. No, I wasn't. That was an original story. I was like, was I closing a loop on something? No. But the closing of a loop happened when I, mid-story, mentioned this other story. So that's the closing of the loop. I was trying to remember how I messed up. That was how, yeah, it was just that, but that was bad enough because I'm telling a story and I mentioned something else and then I never came back to it. And I think I even went out of my way of talking about how it's annoying when I don't come back to things, and it was, it was pretty in your face. I kind of rubbed it in your face that I wasn't closing that loop, we could say. And what was that other story? What was that other coffee story? It was, I mean, so the refrigerator that I have, sometimes it's fairly empty. I have my own fridge here at the office. I live at the office. I've mentioned that, the podcast studios, I live here, and they give me a fridge, but I'm not allowed to buy food or anything. I get that stuff bought for me by my superiors. And sometimes the fridge is empty, sometimes the fridge is full. The other day, and this is the story, I'm getting into it now, I'm closing the loop. The fridge was full. It had a lot of stuff in it. It had polar seltzers all on the bottom row, spread out. It had, tofu. It had turkey, because I'm trying to do this thing where I eat vegetarian food, but also non-vegetarian food. I'm just kind of innovating in that way. So it had that. It had vegetables, kale, pepper. I'll tell you, I only eat one color of bell pepper, and I'll tell you why. It's a very interesting reason, and I'll tell you why in a second. So basically, I have a full fridge, right? Refrigerator. Call them a fridge. Yes, I did just gender my refrigerator male, and that's not good because last week I gendered my coffee maker male also. But it is a Mr. Coffee machine, so I really feel like I should get away with that, honestly. But so why am I describing my refrigerator? This is like in a book where you get dropped into a chapter and or Better Call Saul actually did this really well. Where you would just get dropped into a world, and often an episode would start this way, or after a cold open, an episode would start this way, and you would not know exactly what the heck you were watching for a while. Like, for example, when they were searching those trucks, the cops are searching the trucks at the border that and they get caught and so on. But you watch for a few minutes and you're like, what the heck am I watching? And there's so many scenes like that just open. And in books, you're in a world and then you learn why you're in that world. So just like that, we're in the refrigerator. We're learning about the dimensions and the, contents of the refrigerator. And the reason is because sometimes I don't finish my coffee cup. I'll be drinking a cup of coffee and I'm like, I'm not going to finish this. I have half a cup of coffee. I've already, had a cup or something. So I put it back in the fridge. And sometimes I put it on the top shelf because that's the most convenient shelf to put something on. You just put something on the top shelf and you're like, okay, I'm out of here. So I did that. And then later in the day, I'd be like, let's say I'd be like eating something, and then maybe it's something, or I'm like making a dish, and I'm throwing things back into the fridge. Now you might know where this is going already. So I threw, I don't remember exactly what it was. Who knows? It might have been half an onion. It might have been a packet of cheese, you know what I mean? And that I had just used in a dish to cook or to eat alone, you know what I mean? On its own, because I'm fancy like that. I'll eat cheese on its own sometimes. So I threw something back into the fridge and I knocked over the coffee cup from the top shelf and it's poured coffee throughout the refrigerator. Yeah, that's what happened. And, it did happen. It did happen twice within 12 hours. This was, I believe it was last Sunday. I forget. Whatever I said on the pod last time. I think it was that day. It might have been Saturday, the day before the pod. But I did do that twice. I did because how? If I poured out the coffee, did I then do it again later? Because I probably poured myself another cup of coffee like an hour later from a separate, I'll keep a thing of coffee. I make a bunch of coffee and you understand. It's not a big deal. So it happened twice. Okay? Sue me. It happened twice. It's not illegal. I've looked it up. Doing that, even at a workplace, is not illegal. There's no crime, there's no law in the books that would be a crime to do. That would be a crime to do. There's no law in the books that would be a crime to break, I think, would be the way to finish that sentence. It might have also been the same cup of coffee twice. It might have been that I somehow didn't pour out all the coffee. It might have been like a full thing of coffee. Whenever I knock things over, they're always as full as they can be. That's not true. That's the way the brain looks at the negative. Because as soon as I said that, I was like, that's not true. Just the other day, I knocked over my Stanley Cup when it was almost not full, but it was like it had a lot in it. And it was bad, and it got on my friend's phone. I dried it off. It was fine, but it like almost fucked shit up, and then it actually did cause further problems. Just in the sense that like when I was trying to clean things up, I like broke something. It was like, But then my point is then like an hour later I knocked over, I think it was a similar cup, and it was a smaller knock, but it was empty. If it hadn't been empty, I would have been messed up. So I'm just saying sometimes I knock things over and they're full, sometimes I knock them over and they're empty. So I want to portray the full gamut of experience there. I don't want to spread misinformation. Okay, we're 20 minutes into the episode. Why not just pause it and retain the footage just in case it does break? Nice, that was a good call. I'm kind of risk averse. I'm just like, but so far we're good. So far we got the good cam and the good audio we got devices working together. They're getting hot together. They're getting hot and they're touching each other is honestly true. I'm not trying to be gross. My two devices are getting hot and touching each other. Those are just two factual things that they're doing. And I don't think that's funny, and I don't think anyone should be laughing or, masturbate, or whatever. There's nothing weird about that. It's just a literary description of, okay. Not getting off to a good start. We could still do a new take. Verbal journal update. We got just a little introduction of some new staff members, or there's two. It's not like a lot of them that I'm going to introduce, but there's two. Obviously, I've introduced several staff members before. We were talking about Donna before, the producer, the general lead here. We also have Reginald, the data guy, obviously, who does the data. And I just wanted to introduce the booking team, because this was just from communication in the Discord. We don't have it's not like a very active Discord, so I don't want to oversell it at all. But for, people who are interested in the channel, we got a little online place for them to hang out and occasionally chat. One person in the Discord communicated that they were listening to old episodes of the Verbal Journal podcast, which is, that's amazing to hear. And they said that they were loving the episode where the booking team had gotten a guest, and the guest was a crow that was in the background. The crow in the background was outside of my window, or the window where I'm sitting. I've been told I'm too possessive of objects like windows and, wallets, and, and just, overall dignity. So once I'm on track. I'm coming. So the booking team helped get the crow onto the pod, and but that's just one of the many things the booking team's done. And the booking team is also just always, sometimes it's those types of guests that are more like, non-human. And other times it's just a matter of booking sort of my schedule. They do all kinds of booking. Like they'll book me places. You know what I mean? They don't just book people on the podcast. They'll book the podcast to go to events and stuff. So they booked me at this coffee shop, and I was I walked in and I did a live podcast. I just started talking like this, exactly as I'm doing right now. I was actually saying some of the same words I'm saying right now because I was talking about what I was doing, which I'm also doing now. So I'm sure I'm saying some of the same words. And I was just talking about, hey, I'm in a coffee shop, and I'm beginning a podcast episode. Yeah, because I was recording it, and people started reacting. People definitely, they were not the intended audience, the people that were in the coffee shop, but they were definitely functionally an audience that overall, they had their chance to experience what I was presenting and performing, and very negative response from everyone there. But I don't blame the booking team for that, because that was on me. Because I was the one, I said I would do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me turn down the volume. Sorry if I was clipping a little bit before. Oh, wait, am I too quiet now? Okay, what about now? I don't know. Whatever. And sorry, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Booking team is Barbara and Giuseppe. And they are siblings from the Netherlands originally, but they've been in the US for 15 years. So they don't really like that I led with the fact that they're from the Netherlands, but it's how I think about them. You know what I mean? So, Barbara and Giuseppe are overall, they've just apparently been part of the Verbal Journal podcast team since I got here. They're not like Donna and Reginald, where they were added well into my tenure. Barbara and Giuseppe are part of the reason I'm here. So, you know what I mean? They booked me originally on the podcast. I'm the original guest, actually. So if you have any questions about any of this, write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. We're going to go to the mailbag later, but I've been told I need to plug the mailbag earlier. It is like they said I'm fired if I don't do it. So anyways, thank you, Barbara and Giuseppe, for booking me on the podcast, and all of our future guests and past guests. Next up, part of our horizontal integration with the What's Therapy YouTube channel. That is, hold on. This is something that we're doing more of, and we were told to kind of get on it, because it's been a long time of not really enough integrating this podcast with this channel, which frankly we're part of. I'm the guy from the channel, and so there's this whole opportunity for horizontal integration, and I want to do that just right now. Just kind of, it's really hard. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh wait, but that's not going to be recorded. Yeah, it will. I'll cut it in. Okay. So I'll somehow cut this in. Let's go. This is the channel so what are we integrating? Recent community post I did on the channel is I asked people, and this also originated in the Discord, so lots happening in the Discord. Two things. I asked people which podcast or YouTube channel would they say best combines having a huge audience and having very good politics. This is something I was recently wondering. What do people think? The problem is I phrased it wrong at first, and I just said YouTube channel, and I realized people just started saying video essays. I really, that's good and all, but I don't know. Maybe if someone does enough of it, that's good. But I just, as someone who doesn't make stuff very frequently, I was thinking more of people who were like giving a lot of takes on things. Like, if a video essay channel has made like 100 plus videos, sure. But like, I was thinking more like, yeah, something that's done a lot, like a weekly video essay channel for like years. You know what I mean? Like, or mostly I was thinking like podcasts, and I should have been more specific. But I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly what I'm asking. It's podcasts or like shows. Like someone in the Discord said John Oliver, and I was like, that's sort of what I meant. Like something like that. It has a lot of episodes. It has like, because John Oliver is such a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Because what I'm interested in is the phenomenon of like left-wing people will criticize John Oliver a lot. And my left-wing friend the other day was just criticizing John Oliver for talking about the illegal Israeli settlements without talking about Israel's genocide against Palestinians, which has been ongoing for many years and intensified since October 7th. And so like that's a good criticism. And at the same time, it's a criticism only earned because it warrants it. It's already good enough that the program warrants criticism. It's close enough to being good that it actually warrants criticism. So that's just like an interesting phenomenon to me. So I got a lot of answers. YouTube fucked up my link at first. Like I put this link and then it just said like verbal. It just said like, look how many listens the podcast episodes get. It's pretty good. It just said like journal. It said like at journal. Like I put in verbal journal, like changed it. Okay, so anyways, people respond with like, these are good responses. They have very good politics for sure. And that's very interesting to think about. Yeah. How did, Philosophy Tube like has been on the YouTube for so long. She's been just like building an audience for so long, tackling like heavy subjects. FD Signifier, like, probably half as long or less, but like very, both very full. Shanspeare too, like very long videos, go into a lot of depth on subjects. But yeah, it's sort of not, it's not really what I meant, because I feel like you still don't get enough takes. I guess you get a lot of takes. Yeah, you're getting a lot of takes. So I guess it's the same as like a weekly, show or something at the end of the day. Some more news, it feels more apt. Yeah. They work. Yeah, they work. They're what? Like a few hundred thousand. Do they break 1 million like on videos every now and then, or not really? Let's see. Oh no, yeah, see? Wait, hold on, sorry. Yeah, 500,000. They're more like 500,000. I wonder what the podcast might mess it up a little bit. Nah, it's probably good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a lot. I was thinking something that was more than that. I was looking for like something that's like twice that, Yeah, like I love H Bomber Guy, but that's not what I mean exactly. Like it's just, yeah. If something is too close to art, it's not exactly what I mean. You know what I mean? Like it's art, it's not. I'm looking for more like, I don't know. It's a fine line. I don't even know who these are, Zen Connection. Dropout and drop, like what? I mean, I could be out of the loop. There's people with millions and millions of subscribers I've never heard of. Okay, so a lot of FD Signifier love, yeah. He's awesome, yeah. Chopper Trap House, never. Yeah, that's the realm of what I'm talking about. I've never really been a listener of them, but so okay, is this enough horizontal integration? Richard Wolf and Sean. Yeah, again, like not exactly what I mean. Richard Wolf does have like a regular show, right? On YouTube actually. So maybe he is a pretty good example of what I mean. I love Sean's videos. He's like, yeah. Okay. David Pacman. That's more what I'm talking about, because like someone who gives his takes, but I don't know if his politics are. There's something with his politics that I'm not sure about. There's something I'm not sure what it is, but whatever. Okay, and that was a great horizontal integration. That was me integrating horizontally with the main channel. So I hope you enjoyed that horizontal integration. Hold on. Keep losing the windows. Okay, yeah, I can't put it over there or I'll lose it. So yeah, horizontal integration. Okay, follow up on previous. Yeah, this is great. I love that. This is great to spend like a whole episode just doing like meta stuff. Okay, so regarding our endorsement of Kamala Harris the Verbal Journal podcast made an official endorsement of Kamala Harris. Don't get mad at me. I didn't come up with that. Do not get mad at me. That's just something I was told to read. Okay? So just calm down. If you're watching this, calm down. There's other things. You know what I mean? part of, I'm told I should give a little bit more explanation and a little bit more justification for that decision. Okay? So I wanted to do that now. Trump-Vance, it sounds a little bit too suspiciously like Trump-Pence. Okay? So you have Trump-Vance, Trump-Pence. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, what exactly is going on there? History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Have you heard that quote? I looked it up. I spent a while looking it up before this. It's one of those many quotes, frankly, where people are like, I think it's Mark Twain. Maybe there's evidence of this one. This one, it seemed like enough people were saying. But like whenever people don't know who said a quote, they're like, probably Mark Twain. That's happened with, what was the other quote? Oh, it was like, well, no. I don't know. Maybe that was Oscar Wilde. Anyways, they're both guys who people will just be like, they said it. You know what I mean? So anyways, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Trump-Vance, Trump-Pence. I just think there's something a little bit sketchy about that. I think there's something a little bit like, your audience is smarter than that. You know what I mean? You don't have to give them a rhyming ticket. Like, you can give them something new, And so update in regards to the presidential campaign, in regards to the presidential campaign, little update. Kamala introduces new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Harris introduces new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, which I think means forest in German. Auf Deutsch. Walz? Walz? Am I right? Walz in English. It's a feminine noun. Okay. Oh, never mind. Die Walze? What is it? To go on one's travels, to be on the road. Oh, it doesn't even say what it means. It's dated, though. It says it's dated. Okay. Well, he's dated. He's dated 2024. I don't know. I didn't really get that one. The great photo of him. If I'm announced as the running mate for the presidential candidate, that's the photo I want AP News to run of me. That's so cool. You know what I mean? There's no possible way there was a better photo they could get. This guy doesn't have a link. That's sketchy. Hello. Someone get Steve a link. Donna? No, I'm just kidding. I know Donna doesn't work for AP News. And never will. So what do I have to say about that? I don't know. I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about him. And I'm scared of him, frankly. But maybe it's kind of healthy to have a little bit of fear. Because Donald Trump, I'm also a little bit scared of him. I find politicians a little scary. It's like, ow, it's like, be quiet. Stop talking so loud. You know what I mean? Ugh. But what I will do is I will watch the debate if it happens. If Trump debates Kamala Harris, I will watch the debate and live stream it because that allows me to pause and play and have control and a sense of agency, which everybody wants. Anyways, I will live stream the debate. Yeah, if he does it. So he's sort of, Trump demanded an arena packed with onlookers, instead of like the one that had no audience. I like that it had no audience, and I think it would be horrible if they have fans. I hope they don't capitulate and kowtow to this demagogue who just wants people to clap at whatever he says. I like having no audience. I can decide what I want to clap at home in the privacy of my own home. Oh, but no, there's ongoing litigation against ABC. That's why he can't do it. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons. And when someone has a lot of reasons for something, you know that there's actually a different reason. Yeah, that's what we call rationalization. I think he would get smoked by Kamala. I think she's smarter than him and sharper than him. And I don't think she's a good candidate, but I don't think that's the reality we live in. We don't have a choice. There's no good candidate that has any chance of winning in any way. So, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you just have to, try to improve things on many different levels, on many, many, many different levels, Anyways, so that's the update there. What am I doing? Gossip update. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dave Rubin, a conservative talk show person, Dave Rubin's husband is named David. So it's just like Dave Rubin's husband is also named David. It's named David. I mean, he's named David. So, okay, let's get back on track. That was not a good segment. Oh, update. So this is a fun thing. I've been super into Goodreads, the website where you can just read people's reviews about things. Books. Not just things. They're books, actually. Goodreads is so good. This is not sponsored. But because as a fan of video essays, you can just read people respond to a book like a video essay, but even like someone who would never make a video, but has really good ideas and funny stuff to say about some. So I've been looking at because on the podcast a few weeks ago, I looked at Goodreads reviews of books I loved. And I looked at really low reviews of books I loved. And it was fun and interesting, and we had a good time. It's a lot more fun looking at 1-star reviews and 2-star reviews. We'll get to that. Of books that I, would not like not ones I've read necessarily, but which we did look at, Gertrude Stein's weird Picasso book that I read and the 1-star review. But I look at classic conservative writers like Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, that's why I mentioned Dave Rubin and why I thought of him. Because I was looking up I looked at his 1-star reviews he has 2 books, I think maybe more, but 2 books. It's called I'm not gonna name the books, but whatever. It's just but their low reviews are so entertaining. People tear apart these books. They tear them apart in ways that are so good, and it makes me think. Video essays are great, but there's this whole thing. If you basically do a video essay and just don't do a video, it's almost like you just do an essay or something. But it's cool. Yeah, why did no one ever think of that? So it's really cool. You can read people who are I read, Jordan Peterson 1-star reviews of his books, of his weird books. And there's people who had never heard of him. One person's I'd never heard of him before picking up this book. So you're getting the most interesting perspectives on things. It's not just someone who knows that this is good content. And then you could then you have people who do know the author from something else and love them and then hated the book. And think about how much more brutal that is than me like making a video essay about how Jordan Peterson is like bad and stupid and problematic. It's so much funner to read someone who's like, I loved this guy and have looked up to him, and this book was extremely disappointing and concerning, and I hated it, and it made me really uncomfortable. Or you just have like, I saw one that was a completely positive review. Everything was positive in the review, but it was a 1-star review, just inexplicably 1 star. Like, it's like they thought 1 was the maximum. So there's all kinds of fun stuff you can see. Or you can see 2 reviews with the same star value and like just completely different valuations of the book. One being like way more positive, the other way more negative, but they're both like 2 stars, for instance, you know. It's like really interesting how people don't have, you know, it's very, you would think the star system would be perfectly objective, but it's not necessarily. There was one book I was looking at the reviews of, and it was a conservative, talk show guy doing a fiction book. And there were like a million negative comments saying it was very preachy, like just very, very preachy. And then there was one comment, still negative, but there was one comment saying, at least the high school hero in this series was allowed to voice his beliefs in God and country without getting preachy. And still gave it 2 stars. You know what I mean? Still gave the book 2 out of 5 stars. So it's like, it's just so funny, like, and then I also love people. There's a lot of ones I've seen where it's Christian people hating this Christian sort of like preachiness of some of these books, which is really interesting. But some of them can like it and still dislike the book. It's very interesting, all the different dynamics at play. And then I saw one that was someone gave something 2 stars and their whole review. Okay, so the cell phone just glitched. Look. It just restarted itself. You know what I mean? Did you see that? So that's why this was low quality for the last 5 minutes. And it overheated. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to stay low quality for a little bit more. Sorry about that. And that must have been weird that I didn't explain it for 5 minutes. Maybe I'll put a title on screen that I'll explain it. Maybe I won't. My phone, that one is actually, I can't even be mad at my phone. It's actually, that's sort of reasonable. Realistically, if I was smart, I would, like, if I was filming a video and I was, like, taking it really seriously and I'd set up this, whole thing or something, I would have been taking breaks, where I wasn't really taking breaks here. So I was being a little careless. It does just need to cool down. That wasn't even my phone having a normal issue. That was just any phone would. So their whole review with 2 stars was just well written. They just wrote well written. Okay. So what's next? So chess update. We don't have it's not a whole section here, but we had a lot of questions about that recently. It's not a section anymore. The chess. It's not a desk. Okay, there's no chess section. There are sometimes chess updates where I'm going to be giving updates about, stuff that's going on, but it's not a whole desk section type of thing. Okay, my phone did restart, so I can try to at least get it going, but it's still very warm, so I should just let it sit. I mean, it's not going to, because I don't think I retained that clip, right? There's no way I retained that. Wait, did I? Oh, I actually did. Oh, no, I didn't. I don't think I did. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let it cool down. So, a few things going on in the chess world. If you follow the chess world, you might know that there's actually been fairly a lot going on in the chess world. It's just funny enough, like, there's sort of a lot of drama in chess. I think it's really having a moment, you could say. So, a lot of people got into chess over the pandemic. A lot of people, decided that they got like chess after Queen's Gambit made it very cool. Sometimes that's all it takes is a a little Netflix show to kind of make something cool. Nothing's cooler than Netflix, and I am queuing up 6 links as I do this, so that's why my commentary is sort of time wasty and I'm just sort of rambling, But yeah, Netflix is very cool. A lot of cool people like Netflix. I have a friend named Rob who's very cool, and he's a huge fan of Netflix. So I guess that's anecdotal. So first up we had, there's been this whole thing where basically Magnus Carlsen, the former world chess champion, played against Hans Niemann like 2 years ago at this point or something in St. Louis in a big tournament, lost, thought that Hans was cheating because Hans has a history of either cheating or being suspected of cheating by a lot of people. Hans probably wasn't cheating in this game that he beat Magnus, but Magnus withdrew from the tournament because he was all rattled and stuff, accused Hans of cheating. Hans looked really suspicious, admitted to cheating, backtracked, ended up suing Magnus and Hikaru and Chess.com, and it was all really messy. Now, Magnus said he was going to be open to playing against Hans, but he pulled out of a tournament when they were matched up against each other. Not pulled out of the tournament. He just he got subbed out in this team tournament, so he was allowed to do it. It wasn't weird too much, but it was like, whoa, he didn't want to play Hans. And then Hans said, if you aren't willing to handle things on the chessboard, don't even bother playing. Chess is the greatest combination of art and war. Cowardice leads to inevitable defeat. So that's, to me, sounds really weird and unhealthy, and I don't like Hans's attitude, but I just think he should take a break from the internet, frankly, because he seems like he's a great chess player. He's just, that to me, he should, hopefully he's not idolizing Bobby Fischer like he's talked about doing. It's just, it's played out, So, hold on, I'm being arrested for insulting Bobby Fischer. Okay, never mind. Magnus Carlsen sits out again then in the same tournament, sits out again. And then Hans ended up he lost to Jan in that situation. But then he won something and then gave an interview. And then, the CEO of Chess.com responded with this big statement saying that we did think that you had cheated in online tournaments, but we let you back, so please stop being so annoying, basically. To which Hans responded, Daniel, if that's what you tell yourself to sleep better at night, then go ahead. Just remember, truth will always prevail, and everyone's day of judgment will come, which is a very normal thing to say. And anyone who says it isn't is totally biased and wrong. And okay. So, yeah, that's that. Oh, wait, no, but then Hans has actually been doing really well. He then won a whole blitz, rapid, and classical match against Anish Giri, a top grandmaster, which is a absolutely amazing feat and good for Hans, frankly. So that's great for him. And that was the chess update, not a section, not a desk. That's just an update. Okay. All right, gonna try it again with the good camera, but maybe we're still in the bad camera if the good camera fails. So, what else do we have to talk about here? What else do we have to talk about? We have the finance desk. So let's start the desk section. So now we are beginning the section of the podcast where we go into different segments, basically. So, this is now, let's go into a segment. This is the finance desk, finance segment, you could think of it as. And let's pull that up. Can we pull that up? Okay. This is a recent news article. Regulators probing big banks' handling of Zelle scams. And no, not that type of probing. An investigation examines whether J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and other banks, others is normally what you say about people, but other banks, do enough to shut down accounts controlled by bad actors. And no, they don't mean Leonardo DiCaprio. Victory sip. On the peer-to-peer payment platform Zelle, big banks didn't necessarily respond well when customers disputed transactions made through Zelle. JP Morgan disclosed in a filing that it was responding to inquiries regarding Zelle. Banks are required to refund customers for transactions they didn't authorize, but there isn't legal protection for customers who send the money themselves. Reversing erroneous transfers is usually impossible. That's not a big deal, frankly. I feel like that's not captivating as far as there's got to be worse stuff than that. Oh, whether they are proactive enough in shutting down accounts controlled by scammers. There we go. Yeah. And the degree to which banks vet the identity and background of deposit account customers who end up being bad actors. Were they supposed to read their, or watch their, what are they supposed to watch their reel? Required its member banks to reimburse customers for certain disputed transactions, even when the victim authorized a payment, such as when scammers impersonate. Oh, I see. My bad. I totally was misunderstanding. Okay. I thought it was just like they weren't refunding people who accidentally sent the money the wrong. Yeah, they're talking about scamming and bad actors sort of targeting people through their platform. Yeah. I don't care what percent of transactions are. I guess I care, but that's the question is, are they doing enough to stop the scamming? Are they fulfilling their legal obligation to reimburse unauthorized fraudulent payments, such as when a customer's phone is stolen and a payment is made without the customer's involvement? That's a good point. Wow. Well, okay, so that's the finance desk, and I wanted to just tell you all about that. I wanted you to know about that. I wanted you to, feel acquainted with that. So that's that. And next up, we have the art desk. So the art desk is famous here. We talk a lot of art. Here we have an article. Harvard will not remove Sackler name from University Art Museum and campus building. So fascinating. So Sackler name is the name of the family that has been in many ways contributing to the opioid crisis in the world and in the United States in particular. This person who the building is named after died in 1987, 9 years before the family's pharmaceutical company, Purdue, you've heard of them, started selling OxyContin, a prescription painkiller. So he died before, but this is what the school said, that his link to the opioid epidemic was too weak. But wait, what did they say here? Hold on. But other people say he shares responsibility because he developed aggressive pharmaceutical marketing techniques. So that's so interesting. And this is something I really wanted to go into more in the Better Call Saul series. Cause if you think about it, what Jimmy McGill does as a lawyer and the way he justifies whatever he does by his ends, the ends justify the means. That's something a lot of people do. So the logical extension of Jimmy McGill is like the Sackler family, like someone like, we're just developing better ways to promote. Yeah, like were they drug dealers? You know what I mean? No, not necessarily. Probably not, right? I have no information about that. But they, the idea here, people are criticizing them for developing aggressive pharmaceutical marketing techniques, allegedly, that others misused after his death. So, I would say it doesn't matter whether he's responsible. To me, that's a very odd thing to focus on because it's just the name. It doesn't matter what his first and middle name are. I don't care. Oh, he donated $10 million to Harvard. Is that ill-begotten money? Some people would wonder. People have been protesting this, and then the Harvard released a 15-page report saying, actually, we're fine with it. He has a complex life and legacy. He gave us a lot of money, is what they're trying to say. Harvard University's decision to retain Sackler's name on one of its 3 art museums and a campus building is notable for how Tufts University decided to remove the family's name from its programs and facilities in 2019. So just keep that in mind. They can just do whatever they want. They just don't want to remove the name. Maybe they forfeit some money, maybe there's something, you know what I mean? But they don't want to do it. Maybe it just makes them look bad to future. Yeah, who wants to give them money now if they're worried, just if my family pushes a, epidemic, you're going to take my name off of a building. You know what I mean? So it's bad press for Harvard. So that's totally understandable. What is this, the finance desk or the art desk? Okay, we're instituting more frequent pauses because of that whole conundrum with the bad section. So the interesting thing I forgot to mention, this is the biography desk. We're now in the biography desk. It's a subsection of the art desk. So I forgot to mention something when I was talking about Catherine Ku's book, a famous gallerist, Art Institute of Chicago and elsewhere, curating museums and her own gallery since like the 1930s, advanced art in the United States. Very influential art figure in the United States and art history. Very good writer too. It was really well done and I enjoyed her book a lot. She wrote it when she was like in her 90s, I think. But there was an interesting thing I didn't mention, which is an interesting sort of like death of the author thing. Not about her actually dying, but like, so she had her book and she wrote it, but she died before she finished it. And she left instructions to someone to finish it, I think, or she designated someone or someone, maybe the editor, I forget who it was, but someone, like, it was their job to finish it and put it together for her. And they made interesting executive decisions. They did a great job overall, but they made interesting decisions. They decided to explicitly talk about the fact that Catherine had polio when she was like 5 years old to like 15 years old. And she had like severe symptoms and for the rest of her life was recovering from the symptoms. I believe it was polio, right? I'm almost positive. But like, it was like a severe illness. I think it was polio. Let's just say it was polio and I'm not second guessing myself because I know it was, you know what I mean? It's like an episode 75 situation where I know it was, but I'm doubting myself. But so she was always recovering from that. So in the book, she just never talked about it. And then at one point she mentions it in a parenthetical. She's like, yeah, it was really hard walking up to this artist's studio all the time in the 4th floor of this like winding staircase in this like apartment building. I was like, she goes on and on about how painful and difficult it was walking up these staircases. And then at one point goes, because I had polio as a child, in parentheses, literally in a sentence, and then keeps going, never mentions it again. So the biographer decides, it's not a biographer, it's a memoir. And then the editor decides to, explain at the very beginning of the book that in a lot more detail, in like a page or two, describe her having had polio and what it was like for her, and says all this biographical information about her. It's an interesting decision. Even more interesting decision is the editor also decides to say that she was romantic with like 2 or 3 of the men, and like 2, I think, of the men. It's not a lot. I'm not, I'm not trying to say that's a lot of people. Like, I'm saying over the course of her life, like, she mentions these people that she was connected with and had relationships with professionally and like just personally, but she doesn't say it was romantic. And the editor decides to say, oh yeah, she was definitely romantic. By the way, yeah, the reason she talks about being with this person in all these situations is because they were together, and the reason she mentions talking about this person in all these situations, they also were together. That's interesting because she doesn't say it at all. She does not say it. And that one seems a little bit like, you didn't have to say that. her medical history, it's like that was probably enough people knew that. I don't know. I guess enough people knew that too. But like, I guess I'm just wondering, like, what gives an editor the right to do that? And I think that's a little bit, both of those were a little bit sus. Because she revealed the polio. She said it on her own time. And she didn't even have to if she didn't want to. But, I mean, you're going to tell us that she was dating these guys, that she was seeing these guys, that they were in love, blah, blah, blah. Like, she didn't say it. I don't know. It seems a little iffy, right? So that's that. Okay, screen time desk. I can't look at it because I'm filming with my phone. So forget that for now. Finance desk. Why is that still there? I already did that. Delete that. Patron shout out. Let's shout out the patrons. Let's shout out the patrons. I'll start with the YouTube members because a lot of these people, a lot of you, if you're still watching and listening, have been watching and listening on YouTube. So if you have a lot of disposable income and you want to give me some, you can do that by becoming a member on YouTube. I get paid from that. And if I get 100 more YouTube members, that will be good for me financially. So let's thank the YouTube members first to kind of incentivize them for being, incentivize them just in general. Okay. Thank you, Sadie, Iggy, Eva, G, Simply Snaps, Finesse Cat, Jaden, Trusty, Ghost, Hollow Moon, Pit Inhabitant, and 39% Weird. And then thank you also to the patrons on Patreon who are named Peter, Oliver, MK, Matt, Scott, Noah, V4 Nilla, Anastasios, TV Ghost. Those rhymes, sort of. History, rhyming, repeating. Okay. Linguist Sam, King, Margot, Tom, Stephanie, Verbal Gerbil, Miles, Hugh, Bozo, Donovan, Died Famous, Redgrove, Platinum Sarge, Rabid Dog, 008, Jen, Ian, Russ, Irene, MJ, Gaff45er, Svit, Ryan, Madeline, John, Dependency Injector, Mr. Moxie, Brent, Molly, Kyle, Ashley, Jack, Scott, Luca, Isaiah, Modest Maoist, Gunther, Thulusaurus Rex, Miles, and User. Thank you, everybody. And you could become one of those people if you want to give me money. Okay, let's check out the mailbag. Did anyone write in, or are we out of here? Let's see if anyone wrote into the mailbag to verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. No one wrote in, so we are done. Peace. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week if you give me money. If you don't, I'll see you in a month. And maybe I'll figure out this camera situation by then. Okay, bye. Oh, and this was fun. I had a good time. So, just wanted to say that. Okay.
This is a podcast or something like that.